Welcome back to They Did What, your source for the internet's craziest stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and on occasion, make fun of them. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Me, a 34-year-old male, and my wife, a 32-year-old female, of 5 years, I know she's cheating on me. I can't bring myself to confront her. And guys, what we have here is a story about a guy who's married to his wife for 5 years. And lo and behold, one day he discovers, and you're going to see how he discovers this, that she is partaking in certain extracurricular activities that involve other men and other people other than him. And I got to obviously be keep it in code here for you too, but you catch my drift what I'm talking about here. And this is all about him pretty much coming to terms with this and ultimately going down the road to end up ending the marriage, which, as you're going to see, is very hard for him because he said right here in the title, I can't bring myself to confront her. And you're going to see here, guys, is that this guy, let's just say that he was a typical nice guy that happened to be maybe in the right place, the right time to marry the good-looking woman who was ready to settle. Or one could argue the wrong place, the wrong time. And there's definitely a lot of lessons in this story that I'm going to point out along the way, and also at the end of the story. But again, this is part one of the two-part series here. So it starts off, he says, I, a 34-year-old male, met my wife, a 32-year-old female, 7 years ago at a party. She was the out of your league girl that no one hit on, and I was the awkward boy in the corner trying not to stare. So right then and there, this says a lot about him. He said that she was the out-of-the-league girl. So what does it say about how he thought about himself? And also, what he thought about her. And guys that go around talking about how their girl, either in the past or the present, was or is out of their league, mark my words, is put on a pedestal. And it's no wonder a lot of times these women treat them like crap. I'm not saying that the woman should do that. I'm just saying it is what it is. Okay? Eventually, she was introduced to me by the host. We bonded over a shared love of darts, went on a few dozen platonic outings together, and after one beer and dart-filled night, a year later, we wound up in bed and in a relationship. A year later, she proposed to me. So again, he said right here, we went out on many dozen or so platonic dates. Translation, he was being that nice guy that hung out with her as a friend instead of actually just making a move and asking her out. Again, what does that say about his personality and character? Is he the confident guy that goes what he wants, that those types of women want? Or the quiet, shy, nice guy that they eventually settle for? Because, by the way, if many of you aren't aware of this, whether you are new to my channel or not, most women settle. They settle for the type of guy that they ordinarily wouldn't give the time of day when they're younger because they are getting close to 30, definitely want to be on the way to having a ring on their finger or being married, and they pick the nice guy type. And eventually a lot of them get bored and you see what happens. And notice that she proposed to him. Big surprise there. Now you're going to see more things as she's the one that runs the relationship. Because ultimately, guys, no woman wants to be the one running the relationship. The only women that want to run the relationship are feminists. Code for feminists. They want to run the show. But most women want a guy, he's going to take leadership in the relationship so a guy they can respect and look up to. This guy is obviously not that guy. He says, she's the power position in our relationship. Well, no surprise there. I'm working as a chocolatier. She's a vice president in a large corporation. She works long hours and longer nights. I cook and keep up the house, keep it clean, and work 5 days a week in a small artisan shop downtown. We're pretty high end, so I'm making very good money. I'm making good money, but she's making way more than twice of my salary. So she buys the toys for the house, including a new set-top box for the TV. I've done a lot of stories and read a lot of stories and have life experience. And believe me, a lot of times when the woman makes way more money than the guy, it doesn't go very well. Of course, nowadays they want to have it out to be where it's okay that the lady makes more money than the man. But a lot of times it leads to conflict because women generally want to have a guy that does better than they do, so they feel like they got a prize. But when they are the main breadwinner or provider, when the dynamic shifts where the guy's more the caretaker, it doesn't usually go very well in the end. Now this is where it gets interesting. He says the set-top box is a screensaver mode where it rotates pictures in your Apple photo library. Last week she was still at work. I came home from my day and the TV, which I used to watch a YouTube video that morning and definitely had turned off, was on a screensaver. On it were pictures that came from most of her phone, showing her in our living room with one of our female friends and a guy I never met in very explicit poses. Uh-oh. Imagine walking home to that. He looks on the TV and there's pictures of his wife and other people doing interesting things and explicit photos, as he said. That sucks. He says, the pictures moved around the room, so I think there must have been a fourth person taking pictures with her phone. But I didn't see that person. What was weird was that she was wearing a bandage on her hand, something she's done that morning after complaining about RSI. I left the TV on and was very shocked, but decided to leave the screensaver and see what she had to say when she came home later that evening. When she came home, the pictures seemed to have disappeared. They haven't shown up anymore since then on the TV. So she probably got home and got it off the TV before she thought he had the chance to see it. He should have taken pictures of those with his phone to have proof. But can you imagine that? He's married 5 years, he thinks everything's good, and comes home to that. But, guys, these type of things unfortunately happen, okay? And it is really unfortunate, and I just, for me, I think if somebody is not happy in the relationship, they should simply end it. Don't cheat on the guy or don't cheat on the girl. Just simply end it and move on. Okay? But a lot of people would rather just have the safety of the relationship for whatever reason and go out and have other flings going on the side. It's not cool. And eventually karma will come back to bite you in the butt, as eventually it will her. He says, I asked her if she's been home during the day because the TV was on, and she said she'd come home during lunch to pick up a USB stick that she'd forgotten in her computer at home. Ding, ding, ding. I tried to ask her about the pictures, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I don't know how this guy was able to keep his cool after what he saw, but then again, obviously he is the submissive one in the relationship. He said flat out in the beginning that she has the power in the relationship because, again, in his mind, he got himself a prize, so he's going to pretty much, treat her like the queen, and that behavior, unfortunately, got him where he is. That's why, guys, you can't do that. He says, now I have to add something. Now listen to this. This is no surprise here. I'm not a very experienced person when it comes to matters with you-know-what. And when I say matters, I mean sex. I'm an introvert and barely had relationships before. Well, there's a big surprise, and I'm being sarcastic here. Our you-know-what life is, though, even from my experiences, very vanilla. I never had an oral you-know-what in my life before, and only twice since we met. So only twice in his entire marriage with her has she ever done that. Okay? Believe me, what does that say? And if they've been having a very vanilla type of relationship in the sack, that says everything. She's settled because a woman that really is into their guy, that is really attracted to him, not only physically but also who he is, and she is quite adventurous, believe me, wants to have fun. Not the most boring, basic, vanilla things he described. This is why, guys, you do not ever want to be in a situation where the gal settles for you. A woman can pick out a guy who's marriage material a mile away, just the way she can pick out a guy who is a bad boy a mile away. And a lot of guys think when they get to a certain age that the type of gal that chooses them, that normally wouldn't give them the time of day, they think they won. They think, yes, I finally got the girl after all this time. TV and movies were right. I'll get that girl. Well, no, she's settled. That's what happened. And believe me, she's not going to treat you the same way that she treated the guys that she really wanted to settle down with, because they weren't interested in settling, because those guys either are simply lifelong bachelors or they simply will go for women maybe younger or prettier, something like that. It could be so they go for the nice guy they can settle with, and they'll give just enough to keep him around, but that's it, the very bare minimum, which you see right here. Remember that, guys, for any guys stumbling on this channel and watching this video. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're married right now and you marry this girl that was way better looking than what you're used to and you thought you got the prize, just be aware, if she's not treating you very well, if she's giving you just the basic of this, that, and all that, strong possibility she's settled. Anyhow, he says, suggesting it to her, the oral you-know-what, meant that she'd lecture me about not doing those things, and that you-know-what for the night was a no-go. In those pictures, she did all those things she never wanted to do with me. See, there you go. She's doing all this stuff on the side with guys that she's actually attracted to because the guy she married, she has the power in a relationship. She doesn't respect him, and so on and so on. Better to be alone, guys, and be in a relationship or marriage where that's what you get. He says, since that day, I've tried to confront her a number of times. She stays out longer lately, not just since last week, for the past 4 months maybe. And she's often too tired for anything romantic, even just cuddling. And when she comes home, she often disappears in her office and comes to bed long after I've fallen asleep. Pay attention to a woman's actions, guys. And this goes also for women. Pay attention to a man's actions. What people say versus what people do, night and day difference. You got to pay attention to their actions. Her action says everything. It's not a romantic relationship. It's pretty much a platonic relationship. But she obviously wanted to get a ring on her finger because most women, at some point, they want to get a ring on their finger, walk down the aisle, have the whole marriage thing, because they can say they did that, had their special day. And a lot will settle with a guy they just really aren't that into just because they feel like their biological clock's going crazy and all that. You know? And he said flat in the beginning when they first went out and started hanging out, it was all platonic. Right? That's all she saw him as. He says, but even during the time we had together, like this weekend, I can't bring myself to confront her. Well, that's because by nature, you are a passive guy. This guy is not confrontational. It's not his nature. She's obviously the confrontational one. This guy, he needs to grow a pair and a spine along growing a pair and stand up for himself and make something happen. But just letting it go, it's going to keep happening. I am worried about what I might hear and what this may mean for our relationship. I still love her very much, and I can't imagine a life without her. Dude, your marriage sucks. Okay, I don't mean to be too blunt and kind of harsh here, but it really does. This is not an ideal situation. This is obviously a good guy. I know I'm poking at him for many things, but this guy's obviously a good guy. He's just not a very straightforward, take charge, masculine type of guy. He deserves someone that's going to treat him like he is a good guy and a catch. But also he has to make himself a catch. How can I summon the courage to do this? Is there a way out of this? No, brother, there is no way out of this. You need to find the courage that you have down there because you are a man and you got it in there somewhere, and you need to confront her. But also you need to come to terms with the fact that if I confront her, can I handle ending the marriage? Because if she's doing all this, you should end the marriage, okay? And I don't know what state you live in, but obviously depending on where you live, the divorce could be much harder than you may think. But the idea of going to counseling or whatever after all this, that's just crazy because as the saying goes, once a cheater, always a cheater. It will happen again. And also the fact that she doesn't respect you to begin with. But her respect will be even less if you end up staying after her doing all this. And the worst thing is you did physical proof. So what I would suggest is I'd gather all the evidence and make your plan, whatever you got to do. I would talk to a divorce lawyer. And I would find out exactly all your options depending on where you live. And obviously, because every state's a little different. And then go from there and make a plan of action and then confront her. But you deserve better than this. Absolutely. But anyhow, guys, this is part 1. I'll be doing part 2 tomorrow. And you're going to see how this guy handles it and where things go from here. But anyhow, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this particular story. And guys, if you ever come across a very interesting story that you'd like me to do, by all means, email it to me, and I will certainly cover it if it works. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.